Good morning, my artsy friends. Happy Monday. Welcome to our regularly scheduled Monday morning live. And hopefully, I've got a cute live planned for you guys today. We're going to start today off in normal fashion, looking at some things that came in. Now, if you had an opportunity, or if you are a member of the Creation Station and you had an opportunity to catch the Watercolor Sunday Fun Day live yesterday, you may have already seen what I'm about to show, but if not, then this will, be your first time. So, the stick art haul, and if you don't know what I mean, I told you guys over the last couple of weeks that I ordered some stuff up in anticipation of prices raising. Um, and the last thing that came in was the gouache sticks, and I showed you guys that. But I finally have the last few pieces to complete that entire haul. And as a result, then this Friday coming up on the channel, we're going to have another one of those what to review next videos. Now, I kind of do them every 6 months or so. I've started doing them like every half a year or so. So basically, the video will be going through all of the new products that have come into the studio to be unboxed, tested, and reviewed. And we'll go through them together, and you guys will get to vote in the comments which one you would like to see reviewed and tested first, second, third, so on and so forth. And it'll give you a really good chance to see what's coming up as far as products are concerned on the channel over the rest of 2025. So that video will drop Friday. So we will have a video release Friday. But things that I had come in, if you guys remember, we have done a review of the Sunny watercolors. Not watercolors, but hold on, let me grab it. I wasn't completely ready. So we ordered a 12 set of Sunny watercolor crayons or water soluble art pastels, if that's what you want to call them. Months back when we did our last Timo haul, if you guys remember it, I did test and review. And if you have these crayons and you know that they are actually really good crayons, they're actually softer as far as the touch to the paper is concerned than like Caran d'Ache. Now, they're not as water soluble as Caran d'Ache. And see, I have a Caran d'Ache in here, which means I have a Sunny in my Caran d'Ache tin. I got a couple of Caran d'Ache in here. Um, I need to go check that tin out. But anyway, these were really cool. Again, not as soluble as Caran d'Ache, but definitely softer, spread, and blends just as well. And they are really good crayons. So I wanted to get the complete set. I went back on Temu and there was, no Sunny. There was no more Sunny as far as the bigger crayons are concerned. I happen to have seen Lindsay the Frugal Crafter review on the eye crayons, and I'm pretty sure that those eye crayons are the exact same thing as the Sunny, just with a different name on them. So I jumped on Amazon and I ordered the complete range of the eye crayon water soluble pastels. Now I know the Sunny had 50 to it, the eye crayons have 50 to it, so I'm pretty sure that this is just a rebrand of the Sunny, or the Sunny is a rebrand of the eye crayon, whichever one comes first. I think Sunny is the main brand because they actually have their own manufacturing factory based on the research that I did. But that's neither here nor there. So I got the 25 classic set and the 25 European set so that I would have the complete range of Sunny or eye crayon water soluble pastels. And the only thing I feel like I really need to do is complete the entire range of Caran d'Ache Neo Color 2 because I only have maybe 20 or 25 of those crayons. And I think there's 84 in the entire range. So I'm going to go ahead and break down and just buy the complete set. The thing is, the price fluctuates on those Neo Color 2 crayons so much. Now, I was just checking yesterday, and they're up to like $195 so almost $200 on Amazon. I didn't check to see how much they were on Jerry's or Blick, because after I saw that 195, I kind of got discouraged. I'm like, I'll just wait on them to go on sale. Typically, because Amazon is a site that you can find sets a little bit more reasonably, whereas Jerry and Blick, you can find the open stock prices a little bit more reasonable. Excuse me, one second. Sorry, I had to clear my throat, and I did not want to do that in you guys' ear. Okay. The other product that came in is a Superior product. Now, you guys know I'm a Superior fan. Now, this particular product is sold on Amazon under the Lightwish storefront, and I believe you can buy it on lightwish.com as well. But it is Superior. These are, they refer to them as watercolor crayons, which is what piqued my interest about them, but I'm pretty sure that they're just watercolor pencils. But they come in this really, kind of cute little plastic box. It's got a digital swatch on the front. The interesting thing is the pencils or crayons, whatever you want to call them. And we've talked before about how that's interchangeable depending on what country you're in. But they're basically woodless watercolor pencils, which is, I guess, why they're calling them crayons. And it's a woodless watercolor pencil where each individual pencil comes with its own cap, and the cap is an actual like 4-inch head nylon brush, sort of like a water brush without the water. And I think this is a really neat little idea where each individual color gets its own brush, and it kind of help. That would definitely help with not using as much water, especially for a product like the water soluble pencils, which you don't really need to use much water with anyway. So I'm really interested in seeing how these work out. I showed this little comparison last night. The thing about, excuse me, woodless watercolor pencils is that no matter what brand they're under, they all seem to be the exact same pencil. Now here I have a set of Arteza woodless pencils that's been sitting on my desk for a while. And I grab them and use them because I really like the fact that there's no wood. You're basically using the entire pigment. The entire stick is your medium. Um, and I kind of pulled them out and just went to comparing here. Like this is the gray in Superior. This is the gray in Arteza. It's pretty much the same pencil. Now the Superior pencils aren't as long as the Arteza pencils. Um, but the Arteza pencils actually don't have the individual brushes and caps. So I mean, I guess it just boils down to how much you like that little novelty added to the bottom of the pencil. Um, but these are actually cheaper. This was only $20 for these. So I'm really curious. I feel like they're going to perform just like all of the other woodless watercolor pencils that I may have. Um, what sets them apart is their own little brush on each one. And to be honest, is I don't know how effective that's even going to be. But we're going to see. We'll test them out and we'll see where they go. So those are the last of all of the items that were coming in. So now I can actually put together this video for Friday's release. So be sure to stay tuned for that. Let's move into what we are tackling today. So we are here today because we are doing ourselves a good old unboxing, swatching, color mixing, painting demo, and all the while we'll be formulating an opinion. And we're going to make this just a one-stop shop video. How about that? This, my friends, is the Globetrotter watercolor wristband travel system by Creative Mark. Now, Creative Mark is a house brand company for Jerry's Autorama, but you can purchase this via Jerry's website in one of their stores. And you can also find it on Amazon. I think the price on Amazon is a bit higher than it is on on Jerry's website, but you can check either or Amazon or Jerry's if you wanted to source this. Let's go ahead right now from the very beginning and talk about the price of it. That way we won't have to worry about forgetting that later as we get to the review. So let's jump over really quick to the web browser here. And let's go to Amazon first. And the Globetrotter watercolor system. Let me see if I can find it. So here we go. It's in a green box now. See, this is what I'm saying. Here it is on. Okay, this is only the 12. So this is okay. So this is the 24. Let's go to the 12. Do they have the 12 on here? Pan set of 12. Is that it? Okay, yes. Okay, so here we go. The wristband Globetrotter system on Amazon through Creative Mark store is $24.99. That is a 12 watercolor pen set. And we're going to get to see what that looks like on the inside as we go through this so you can make a determination of whether or not that price is something you think is worth it. So $24.99 on Amazon. Let's be fair and check it on Jerry's site as well. Uh, let's see. Globe Trotter. All right. So the Globe Trotter wristband system. Okay, so it's $24.99 on Jerry's as well. So whether you buy from Jerry's or whether you buy from Amazon, it's going to be priced at the same $24.99. All right. Hey, Kiana. It includes free water brush pen and 6 refill color pens, so you are going to get refills included. There's a digitized color swatch here on the front of the belly band, but of course, you know, with water soluble products, I tell you guys all the time, swatch them out. The new Globetrotter watercolor wristband by Creative Mark makes painting easy whenever you're on the go. This is really little. Each set includes a water case, detachable wristband, 6 watercolor pan refills, and a travel water brush inside a beautifully wrapped gift box. The specially designed travel water brush has a resilient nylon brush tip that comes to a fine point, and the compact, lightweight case includes professional quality watercolors. And we're going to talk about that, of course. The case also includes 2 foam sponges to clean your brushes between colors and a small mixing palette area. You can easily and comfortably attach the Globetrotter watercolor wristband to your wrist with the adjustable rubber watch band. The Globetrotter watercolor wristbands are the perfect gift and the best accessory for any artist on the go. Also includes 5 brush pens with cap, a 5 inch. So it's a number 5. They're saying it's a number 5 water brush. Um, the wristband, it gives a size 8 3/4. Extra color pens. The colors are lemon yellow, cad red hue, cerulean blue hue, ultramarine blue, viridian, and cadmium yellow hue. There's a UPC code, lets you know it's made in China, and all rights reserved for Creative Mark. There you go. Let's slide off that band. It's a pretty cute little box. Cute little, it's thick. You know, it's not flimsy. The top opens up no problem. There, I like it when they put that ribbon there to catch the top to keep it from flopping open, which lets you know that the hinging itself on the box is pretty weak. And as you can see here, the hinging on this box is basically um, a piece of paper. Yeah, definitely. So that ribbon is needed. On the inside, let's just take all of this out here. There is a water brush, just your regular water brush, non-branded. We've seen a million of these. It's just a travel size. There is the wristband system to make it the watch. So I'll pull those out. I mean, the whole point is to test it, so we'll need to put that on. There is the actual little palette itself, and then there are 6 refill pans included. And those are really, you can see that the disc size for that paint is really small. Although watercolor does go a really long way, you can just see from the refill. This is definitely something that's really just cute for novelty and play. Now you can refill those little pans. I have refilled one before, and I'll say from the jump that I believe that this product is white labeled by Superior, the same company that makes those watercolor pencils with the individual brush caps on the top that we just looked at. They're known for making really novelty things like that, really cute palettes. You may be familiar. You may be familiar with these particular type of pans if you've ever had the opportunity to play around with one of these. This particular one is branded by Royal and Lane, but these are the little fan palettes, and this is another one of Superior brilliant palette ideals, which everybody has started to have white label from Superior under their own names. But this is definitely the same paint, same type of paint, same style of paint. Let's look at this little palette here. So I opened the palette up. I had a couple of pans fall out there, so I don't know how secure. Okay, they kind of snap in, and the palette folds out to reveal 12 of these little 12 of these little pins we were just looking at. So you would just snap those back in to refill, like if one of them runs out. And so it's really cool that they give you six like refills in there because they are so small, you know. So it's good that you're getting a little extra paint considering the fact that this is $25. um, yeah, so the palette itself is just a little plastic palette. Let's see. Yeah, and those pans, I need to, they're not in there very secure. I don't know how that'll do for traveling if they don't stay snapped in. But yeah, there you have it. It's got a fold out lip for mixing on it, small compact size, plastic palette, kind of made to resemble a watch. Let's see if we can attach. Let's see, how would I put this on? I am right-handed, so this would go on my left arm like so, and this would attach longer end on the bottom. Let's see how easy this is to do. Okay, not bad. I don't know if I can get it in there. Okay, so it just snaps in. Seems to be pretty secure. The plastic, yeah, the bands are made of plastic. It's durable though. They're thick. They don't feel flimsy like they're gonna break. And as I say that, there is a crack right there in the band, right as I say that. So there's that. Um, let's see. All right. So that's what the system looks like. As long as you don't have a cracked band, that's very disappointing. Um, and you would put it on your wrist like a watch. It's a pretty cool concept. And you would just secure it so that it wouldn't come off. And you will have your palette on your wrist. Let's see. Okay. Um, I don't know how comfortable that'll be. We're gonna be playing around. We're gonna be playing around with this. It's a key. It's a neat concept in theory. It really is. But I guess it just depends now for angling for trying to like for like trying to paint on camera today is going to be a little awkward. But I'm sure, but if you're out and about and you're painting, you would have your wrist closer to your body. So it would be much more comfortable for the concept is really neat though. I really do like the concept. And I'm sure, you could put a little dab of paint in here and kind of use a pen to even it out to refill. If if this is something that you really liked, it does have the two little sponges in for cleaning your brushes, as it said. Let's see how effective it is in comparison to a system like this. Now, a system like this, as you can see, I've used this quite a bit. I really like this fan palette. This is like my second one, if I'm not mistaken. And I typically grab it under the Royal and Langnickel branding because their prices fluctuate. But at the point that I bought this one and the one that I bought before, it was only $10. I think they're up to like $13 now, based on the popularity of the whole fan style palette. But see, and I got pans falling out. See, I tilt my arm just a little bit and my pan fell out. So let's get this back in here. Okay, it snapped in time, so well, fell out again. Yeah, so that's something you may want to be careful with. Make sure that yours are secure. I would say maybe glue them in, but that kind of defeats the purpose of having an interchangeable pan. Maybe a glue dot on the bottom of it, something flat and sticky. So it would definitely have to be a glue dot. Because I feel like putty might be too thick and push the pan up out the palette. I'm going to actually take this off. It's a little awkward to have on based on me trying to record. And I still have pans falling out. But we're gonna use it to paint today. We're definitely gonna use it. We want to test out the whole thing, and I'm already formulating my opinion just based on what we've kind of played around with. Let's see here. I have a sketchbook. I'm gonna show you guys this. I keep a caddy on side of on my desk, and that caddy has all of the sketchbooks I want to go ahead and use up like right now. And as I complete one of them, I'll take it out of this caddy and I'll stick a new one that I want to work on in here. So like every time I need to do any type of artwork, I'm reaching for one of the sketchbooks in that caddy, so we go ahead and get them used up. um, you guys may, I bet this is an older sketchbook as well. So what we're gonna do, I personally already know how superior paints work, how they are. Um, the water in the brush is a little dirty, so we're going to empty that out in the dirty water side of my water bucket. And I'm using the water brush that came in this set because it is literally the exact same water brush. It's the exact same. That one's just newer and cleaner. So I'm gonna use this one that I've already been using. Put some water in it real quick, and we will swatch out the paints in the set. Like I said, I'm used to Superior. I know how they're gonna swatch out. They're gonna be pretty semi-transparent, and for them to be a student grade paint, they're also going to be pretty clean as far as paints go. Let's grab a black alcohol marker just in case you've never seen Superior paints and you have no idea about them. Uh, I'm going to do an opacity test. We're going to do it just like we would be testing any other set. Any other set. We're going to give them the same run, so this will be fair. So this may turn out to be a pretty long live. I'm going to try to make it as quick as possible. All right, that way we can test some opacity on these. Let's get it a second to dry as alcohol marker ink. It won't take too long. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna put this. I'm gonna put this back on. We got to, if I'm testing, you guys know me, I'm completely fair and completely honest. So I need to put this back on to do it properly. Now, I'm not going to put it under my wrist. I'm going to put it, I'm not to say that it wasn't designed to be under the wrist, but I'm pretty sure that when they came up with this idea, it was more so the watch concept. So let's see here. I am going to use a water brush. Let me get, did I bring in paper towels? I did. Sometimes I forget to bring in paper towels. I'm glad I didn't forget this time. All right, let's grab a paper towel so I have something to wipe my brush on. Although you would be wiping your brush on the sponges included if you were out and about. I'm not going to mess those sponges up right now. I'm going to wait till I'm out and about to do that. So, as I said, this particular position is a little awkward, and that's only because I'm recording a video. It probably more than likely would not be this way outside. I'm not going to do the white yet. I'm going to swatch it in the color order that they're in this palette. Um, as I said, these are superior paints. So we already, most of us already know how this is going to work out, especially if you've watched my channel for any amount of time. And I'm just going to blend it down with some water. All right, next we're swatching. This is probably cad yellow. That first one more than likely is lemon yellow. And this is definitely a cad yellow. And I'm using the effects of the water brush. That's beautiful. The color, I've always liked superior colors. They're always rich and pretty. This is, let's see what this is. Probably a vermilion. Could be cad orange. I mean cad red because it would be orange leaning as well. These reds actually are pretty. Oh, okay, that's definitely a crimson. I'm not sure what type of crimson it is, but it's a crimson. Spouting this on that. Let's see if we can. There we go. We have. It's gonna be my guess that this is cerulean. I think that's what the refill said, right? Yeah, that's cerulean. Now, of course, there's no artist information with these. There's no pigment numbers, no light fast, staining, transparency information, anything of that sort. This is a fun palette, not a fine art palette. This is a fun art palette, but it's really good for getting practice into your sketchbook, outside painting. I'm pretty sure it'd be a really cool. It'd be really cool for kids as well, for a young artist in your life that you know. I'm gonna try to do this whole paint on my wrist thing. I'm gonna see how successful this is gonna be. That ultramarine is a little gummy. That didn't seem as. And of course, these are machine cut tablets. That's uh almost. No, it's not quite clean gold. It's green. It's very yellow green. Almost chartreuse, like a chartreuse color. All right. What we got here? What is this? Okay, that's definitely phthalo green. Phthalo green is always so pretty and clean to me. Am I gonna get three more on here? I think I made the swatches too big. That's okay. We're gonna make it work. This is definitely a yellow ochre. Clean color. It's definitely got more of a dye in it. It's too flat. It's too your mineral pigments should definitely have some type of texture to them. This is like a burnt sienna. Some pretty recognizable colors in the palette. So this would and definitely a split primary palette here. You have a warm and a cool. Well, the blues is a little questionable because ultramarine, although it's cooler than cerulean, it's still a warm blue. But it works really well in a split primary environment. So and this is I'm assuming this is black, which it just depends on how you feel about it. I mix my own neutrals. I do use black watercolor though. I use white watercolor less. Tend to use white gouache more. So there are the colors swatched out. Pretty much what I expected. Um, it isn't completely dry yet, but I can already tell you that there's not going to be much sedimentation on the lines at all. The colors are pretty clean for them to be a student grade paint. Of course, probably more dyes and pigments, but not a lot of fillers because there's not going to be a lot of flocculation or sedimentation on the opacity line. I don't know if I really like the way that ultramarine painted out. The rest of them are fine. No, nothing, absolutely nothing on the black line. So they're going to be transparent to work with, of course. You'll be able to layer and glaze. These paints will also allow you to paint in a more realistic fashion because although they may be student grade, they are pretty transparent. You can't see them being full of a lot of fillers. You don't see a lot of flocculation or granulation or granular texture, not granulation, because this flocculation and granulation is something completely different. Um, so they would definitely be pretty clean to help you achieve more realistic or realistic-ish type paintings if you're somebody who likes to layer and glaze. Let's do a little color mixing here. Let's do a little color mixing. Yeah, at least the ultramarine does seem it seems a little funny. What we'll do in a moment is we will swatch out. Let's see. The ultramarine. I'm wondering. I can't remember which one of them it is. I think it's 36. I think it's that one. We'll test them out side by side in a minute, and we'll actually grab a pen. I think I have a pen or something over there somewhere. Anyway, all right. So we have. Let's see here. Let me grab a paper towel back, and let's do a little color mixing. Let's see. All right. I have a palette. Do I have a palette? Yes, I have a palette. Thank you. I have a palette. Because sometimes I don't be completely prepared. Tell you now. Sometimes I'm just not completely prepared. I don't know what's wrong with me, but it happens. All right, that is the lemon. Let's go. This has got to be, like I said, this has got to be cad. It's a little bit more golden leaning, so definitely that's a little bit more lemon leaning. Yeah, so that's definitely got to be a cad. Let's see here. We've got, like I said, I want to say that's a vermilion. I really do. It's either a vermilion or a cad hue as well. They paint out clean. Of course, again, I was already expecting it to be this way. Um, I use Superior Paints for Watercolor Sunday Fun Day, but they're branded under the Shapiro Farbins label. Let's see if we can get this ultramarine to act a little bit better. Curious as whether it's going to do any granulation. Now, this is a cellulose paper, and yeah, that's definitely not granulation. Uh, I'm just trying to really get it swatched out here and see, because that ultramarine is bothering me. It is one of my favorite colors, one of my favorite blues. I have to have it in every single palette. And if it's not right, I'm going to want to change it out and put another ultramarine in there. It's just the way that rolls. It's just going to be the way that rolls. So we'll see before this is all said and done. If I plan on getting a painting done, I need to speed myself up too. I don't know. And it will be of all the colors in the set, the one that has me worried is one of the staples for me. All right, let's do some little, let's see what we have going on here. Let's kind of thick on the brush it was. All right, we're gonna make some yellow and some of what I'm assuming is cad. And see, that was way too much. So I'll put some more yellow in there. And you're gonna get a beautiful orange here. Very clean, very recognizable, bright. It's not muddy or desaturated at all. Um, Now, for these little pinions, I understand the idea of the travel brush um, for outside painting and for what this is, but the pans are so small, right? So you're going to use up those pans really quickly, especially with um, a brush like this that's going to be continuously feeding. That's our lemon yellow and our cerulean, gorgeous, gorgeous, earthy, sort of yellowy sap green. Now, that would be a color I would be mixing and using on a regular basis from this set. Now let's do that cerulean. And we're going to mix that cerulean with a little bit of that cad red. I'm gonna call it cad red this time instead of vermilion. It's one of them. They're interchangeable. Either would work. Now, I'm not as crazy about the purple mixture between these two. It's definitely recognizable as a violet, but it's definitely more of a winey, more desaturated leaning color. All right, let's go with that cad yellow. And what I'm assuming is crimson, maybe a alizarin. Oh, gorgeous orange. That's more of a blood orange. Oh, that's so pretty. There's your grapefruit blood orange color. Gorgeous. And we will do some cad yellow and we'll mix it with the ultramarine. Gorgeous green. Oh, now that's a sap green. Ooh, that's pretty. So palette mixing, very clean colors. Nothing is mudding up. The colors are recognizable right away. I want to use up this whole little palette in the studio. These pens are so small. I don't know about the price tag on this one, friends. The idea is cute. Um, the idea is cute. The idea is cute, cute, cute. See, I use way too much red there. Let's see if we can mix that out next to it. And it's so easy to like leave water on the top of the little pan and it gets kind of soupy real quick. My fear is just using the colors up super quick. Again, which is why I can appreciate the refills included. Uh, but I don't know if you can order the refills open stock. So like when you run out of the first set of refills, like could you order the refills open stock? And if so, would you really want to, considering how small they are? I would probably just take. Uh, I would probably just take two paint and drop a dot of it in there to refill each one of them. I would just make sure that I work it down flat. All right, let's see. We are. Is this dry enough? Let's go ahead and see if we can kind of glaze. See what paper mixing is going to be like here. Let's grab some of this yellow. I'm gonna end up cleaning this palette. Okay, I didn't get any lift in there. That's cool. Not too much anyway. Um, I'm just testing a few of them. Not all of them, just a few of them. That's a CAD. Let's see what that CAD is like. Okay, still clean. Let's go with a blue. Might as well use a cerulean. I like the cerulean in this set, honestly. Surprisingly. Yep, just as I suspected. They're semi-transparent. You can definitely see layers through themselves. The colors are mixing cleanly. There's they were where I expect them to be. The ultramarine will settle out with enough water on it. Maybe it was just the way I swatched that previous one. Now I would typically do like salt test and a lift test. We'll use this for the lift test in just a moment, giving it time to dry. And as far as the salt test is concerned, I don't have any salt sitting here around me. But we could do an alcohol test. I think I have some alcohol sitting over there somewhere. Let's see. Yep, I do now. Let me see if I have the little pipette I normally use for it. I don't, but I have one I can use to make it. It'll work. And basically, if you've never done an alcohol test, alcohol has a really cute effect on watercolor. Um, it causes the alcohol pushes the pigment in the circle that is dropped in, right, and causes a white effect. You can use it for like bokeh, the bokeh effect. And so we'll do that test. And I'm just putting down enough water and hopefully pigment. I'm just mixing all that stuff that I had on the palette there. And I'm trying to hurry up before this dries because it has to be wet. Let's see. And basically, you take rubbing alcohol, yes, like the rubbing alcohol out of your cabinet in the bathroom, and you'll drop. If I can get it to come out of there. Oh, well, there you go. It's going to be a big one. You'll drop the alcohol in the wet water, and it's going to have an effect. You'll see once it dries what it does. And I actually am using that effect in this upcoming Wednesday's video, so you'll definitely get to see that a little bit more up close and personal. All right, so we're just going to give those time to dry. We'll take a little bit closer look at the results of all that testing as we wrap this video up. But for now, we are going to jump into our painting demo. I think we're making pretty good time considering the fact that we've done an unboxing, some swatching, some color mixing and testing. And now I'm going to jump into doing an illustration. This is pretty straightforward and simple. I'm going to take this watch off because I get the point. I get the idea. It is something that can be accomplished, especially if you're holding the watch in closer to your body. As I've been saying, it's going to be much more comfortable that way. But I'm going to take this off to paint with now. I'm good. I get it. You would be mixing on this little area. I didn't use it. I haven't used this little area to mix on because it's not much. So, you know, you will probably constantly be wiping that and cleaning it. Let's jump in. I'm doing something. I've been trying to push myself, guys, especially when I know that I'm painting in my sketchbooks, because I really don't have to show it to anybody. Of course, I show you guys everything, whether it's a fail, whether it's a success. I kind of share everything, just because even if it's a fail, then maybe I can share with you what I did to cause it to be a fail. That way, it won't be a fail for you moving forward. All right, not going to use a water brush for this. I'm probably going to use my regular brushes. So here's what I'm doing. I'm doing like a scene where I'm inside the house looking out the door at landscape through the door. This is a very simple composition um, to draw and to sketch. you could. Uh, I'm going to sketch my lines in a little bit darker so you can see that way. If you want to sketch yours out, you really only need a ruler because this is really a bunch of straight lines. I've already kind of transferred the illustration, but I'm going to sketch these lines in darker so you can get a pretty good idea of what's going on. So it starts off with a door. You have a door that is kind of closing into its frame, and you're looking out of the door at a dock that leads to water in a landscape. So I started off basically with a ruler. I'm going to show you what I did. I just kind of put in, based on a reference, some lines at the top and lines at the bottom of the door, right where the door frame would be. And then I took a ruler and I lined those up, and I drew in part of the door frame. And that's basically the what I do for the entire illustration because it's all just a bunch of straight lines, which, if you know me, I can't draw a straight line to save my life. I know some artists who can. I'm just not one of them. um, And then the rest of this way is just going to be the door. So you would draw in basically the framework of the door. And of course, the doors have those indentions that push in on it. And then there would be the gap. And then the rest of the door frame kind of showing that this is the door. The door closes into its own frame or wall, of course. So I would start with two lines on this side, one at the top and one at the bottom. And this is, the more wonky this is, the more realistic it's going to look. So I wouldn't be too concerned with my lines being super, super straight as I use a ruler. As I use a ruler, right? And then you're going to be able to see the opposite end of the frame or the wall that the door closes into. So I'm not going to take that all the way over to the edge. It's about, I said, a fourth inch, maybe, from the end of the paper. And then the rest of it would be drawing through the door. So you would be looking at a horizon line about here, and keep it simple through the door. So it'll be like a tree line, maybe. That'll be the sky. There will be water, and you would have a dock outside the back door. Give us an opportunity to get some uh, planks in there, making it like it's leading up to a dock, maybe. I mean, like maybe that's a porch or something out the back door. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. We're going to have a lot of wood texture to do. So let's go ahead and jump into this and get it knocked out. I'm grabbing a number, what is this? A number 6 round. And let's see, I'm going to try to use this since I have all of these colors basically already on here and kind of mixed together in different aspects and ways. Let's go with that cerulean in the sky. Before I do that, I don't want to get any I don't want to get any of that color from the landscape into the door because the door is going to be sort of a grayish white color. So I'm tearing off some pieces of masking tape and I'm sticking them onto the chair that I use at my desk, just so it'll pick up some of the fiber and make it a little less tacky. And I'm going to mask off that door frame so that I don't have to worry about painting into the door frame and messing it up. I guess you could use masking fluid. This seems to be like it's going to be quicker. Of course, there's always the chance that the tape will tear your paper too, so it's a lot to be worried about, I guess. All right, now I'm going to go in and start with that cerulean in the sky. And I'll grab it, make it a little bit more concentrated so we can get some more color at the top there. Wipe off my brush, grab a little water, and work that on down. You can grab your paper towel and stick a cloud in the sky if you want to, completely on you. I might grab a little ultramarine and go across the very top of that sky just to add a little bit more depth. It seems a little weak. Yeah, I didn't mean to do that much, but it's there now. And always lift it out. And I normally bring it down like right into the top of my trees. Now I'm gonna grab more ultramarine again and just right across the very top, just to add a little bit more depth. Everything is still wet, so it'll work itself in. And like I said, if you want to, you can grab a paper towel and do like a little dab, like it's little clouds back there. I mean, why not, right? Um, let's see if I can do this and make it look realistic considering the fact that it's such a small space. All right, here we go. We're just gonna see if we can. I don't guess that's too bad. Eh, it's not too bad. You can see a little hints of a cloud. All right, then we're gonna tackle the water area and basically mimicking what we did in the sky. We're taking um, keeping a horizontal stroke. Now, I tell some people if you have issues painting water, use a flat brush. It's going to help. You want to keep a horizontal stroke. That is the main thing about painting land and or water. I'm going to grab some ultramarine here. And I'm going to come in and start mixing in those ways. I'm going to grab a little more cerulean. Come on, a little bit more of that kind of posture throughout there. So it's definitely mimicking the sky colors. We're just going to keep it blue. We'll keep it simple out there, like so. Um, we got that little tree line. We'll hit that with some green. I'm going to mix that ultramarine and that cad yellow together. It made a beautiful green. I think that's going to be really bright and vibrant. Although it is kind of in the distance, so it should probably be cooler than that. I just really like that green. Still a little wet, but is it wet here? It's not wet here, so we'll work on this area. We're making wood now. You can do wood in several different ways. I definitely want the wood from the outside to stand out against the sort of grayish white wood that's going to be on the inside. So I am going to brown that out a little bit more. We'll start out with some yellow ochre, and I'm just going to go directly from, I'm going to go directly from the pan. I'm not going to mix it out. I'm gonna add some water to it and blend it out. Keeping that layer kind of light. We'll get it to dry quick. We're actually going to work into it while it's damp. I'm grabbing a credit card, cut up credit card, and I'm making lines going straight across. Keeping it horizontal. We'll be using that same technique inside the door as well when we get to that point. Now I'm going to grab, what is this? I think this is burnt sienna. I think that's what it is. And we're gonna just drip it up through there. We're keeping the color. We're not trying to completely cover the yellow ochre. We're just adding a little bit more color. And maybe, just maybe, some of those scrape marks will pick up. If not, it's not a big deal. We definitely want the ones on the inside of the door to pick up though. Now I'm going to grab a little bit more concentrated. What is that we were using? Burnt sienna. And this is, if you were in the class yesterday for Watercolor Sunday Fun Day, for one part we were talking about wet on damp painting. And one of the advantages of wet on damp painting is that the paper is still damp. So it's gonna help what you put down just diffuse and blend. But because the paper is damp versus being wet in the wet, is wet in the damp, um, the paint doesn't whoosh all out over the place. And you can get some soft, diffuse color mixes and shadows that you can build on top of. All right. Okay, that should be good. And you don't really have to spend too much time on what you're doing through your door, because believe it or not, the door is is the main focus. But I just wanted it to definitely be recognizable what's going on outside the door or what's out there. I'm gonna grab. Oh, I really want to use that green, but it really should be something that's a little bit more, that's a little bit cooler. Mm, mm, mm. All right, I'm gonna mix ultramarine. I'm gonna mix burnt sienna, not burnt sienna, but what's this called? Yellow ochre. It's gonna give me more of an olive color, more of a desaturated green. Yeah, it's definitely more desaturated. Like I need to kick it up just a little bit there. Okay, that feels better. That's a really tiny space. So I'm gonna switch my brushes. I'm going to a smaller size. This is a number zero synthetic squirrel. It's a round. Um, and I'm gonna get that down in the color I'm using. And gonna get a tree line through that back door. I need while it's still wet, I'm mixing more blue into that. And just gonna go in and tap to get some shading. Hello, Taylor. I feel like I need a little bit brighter green in that though. I'm gonna go for this green. Make sure that I made earlier from the cerulean and the lemon. I'm just tapping in a little at the top and kind of blending it down to nothing at the bottom. Not, again, you don't need too many details for that outside portion. It's not a big deal. The water should be enough for me to go ahead and mix up let's see, let's use this one. We'll mix burnt sienna and ultramarine blue to get us a nice neutral. Okay. Because we used such a small brush that didn't hold a lot of water when we did that mixing, um, our mixture here is more of like a milk, skim milk consistency. So we're gonna get, better control. It's not gonna be really watery. It's still a little brown for me. Let me mix in some more blue. It's not quite neutralized enough. Let's see here. That's much better. I'm gonna put just a little water in that. All right, and then I will do some shadow and horizontal motions, horizontal strokes. Doesn't have to be exact or precise. You're just putting in a little imagery. Then we're gonna also go and divide up these boards a little bit better with that darker tone. Notice I did not refill paint on brush. I'm just using it till the brush runs out. The paint runs out on the brush. effectively using one of those techniques we talked about yesterday, which is dry brushing. And I'm also going to kind of attempt to do a little dry brushing with this burnt sienna as well, where I'm just kind of putting like little wood technique indications in that board. I mean, because it's right up on us, so you would definitely be able to see any of the wood detailing in this. All right, I think that's good. I think that's enough for looking through the door. All right, we can remove our tape. And I guess you can save your tape and kind of give that time to dry and then cover the outside if you want to protect it from anything that you might be doing on the inside to the door. But that's looking through the actual door. Pretty cool. Now we just got to tap at the door. I'm going to use my tape to recover, but I'm covering the inside this time to protect it. I am going to stick it on the back of my chair again just to pick up a little bit more length because I really want to make sure it releases from being on top of this paint. You know what I'm saying, Bern? All right, so I'm going to cover what we've done. This is great. This is a great technique for people. If you're like me and you don't really like fooling with masking fluid, now listen, I use it. I've used it on the channel before. I've used it with you guys before, but if I can avoid having to use masking fluid, I will. That's just me. But indeed. All right. Now we are going to do our very artistic best to make this look like the inside of a door, like you're looking outside. All right. I want my door to have sort of a white hue. So the first thing I need to do is remember that when you're painting something white, you don't leave it white. I'm gonna grab a number 8 round synthetic squirrel. I am taking some of that black we mixed earlier. I'm gonna scoop some of it up. I'm gonna bring it over into this bigger well, and then I'm gonna mix it with plenty of water. All I want to do is tint my door and my door frame at first. Let me make sure this pressed down. Even if we need to heat it to make it release so that it don't remove our paint, we'll do that. Um, let's see. I'm going to, we're just gonna literally tone the entire door. So we're just using a really watered down neutral that we mixed. And we need to have some for the other side here. And making sure that I use the same, or that I'm making this gray from the same black that we mix or the same neutral that we mix is going to make sure that we keep color harmony. And You don't have to really do too much worrying. You just want to even coat there, and then we'll be able to paint on this while it's damp and start adding things to it. So the first thing I want to do is wet it really good. This is where the fun comes in. We're going to do one side at a time. We're wetting it really good. Don't worry, we're going to be drying it with the hair dryer in order to move on. All right, I'm going to grab that credit card scraper, and here we're going to go to town. This is a door. So what we're looking for with the fact that both of these are wood pieces is texture. So I'm just going to start making long linear lines in my paper, and I'm making these deeper on purpose than the ones in the wood outside. Because in the one in the wood outside, you would only see, you see a little light texture up close here and there, but in this wood, you would really get those features that make it seem like wood, right? And I'm literally abrading the paper and just throwing some kind of weird wood designs in there. Um, I may have overdone it. Oh well. Now I am going to again take a light wash, still keeping it light and gray because I don't want it to shift too gray. And I'm going to put that light wash on top, and you'll immediately start to see that texture coming through for the wood. And then we'll do the other side. We'll do the door side. Hey, Marianne, fair enough. Fair enough. You did not. That is fair enough. All right, let's grab. And I'm maybe not as much on the door. Maybe the door isn't as wooded. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna trace over my frame line. Because they'll end up being super dark anyway. And this is using my sketch to an advantage as well. And then here I'm gonna put in a few like here and there, but not too much of anything. Kind of want the indication of some deep scratches in it. And then again, I'm going to grab the gray I made, water it down, and we will paint over the door. Now, hopefully I've kept it light enough. You can always blot it with a paper towel if you feel like you've gone overboard. All right, I just need to dry that and then we can move on with adding the final details to it. It's gonna be pretty straightforward, but it's gonna be so effective when it's done. Okay, friends, for this next part, you can actually cheat. You could grab like a watercolor marker, a watercolor brush pen, a real brush pen, even just a regular like fine black ballpoint pen, honestly. And what you would do is you would basically just trace the outline because we've added detailing from the credit card scraping, and we've added a wash of color, which is actually light enough to indicate that that door is supposed to be white. Now, what I'm going to do is go ahead and add some more shadows, but this is not something that you have to do at this point. If you were putting in the black line around your illustration, you could do that. Go ahead and remove the tape, and you will see how effective of an illustration you've already created is. But we're going to push it just a little bit further, and then we're going to talk about the what I think overall about this entire little kit. So let's grab. We need to mix. We need to mix some more of our gray or our grayish tone. So let's get down here where we do the more concentrated mix that we pull from, and we will do ultramarine, and we will do burnt sienna. That's way too brown. Okay, that's dark enough. And we'll put some more down here where we won't be adding nearly as much water to. This time, we definitely want to keep it. We're just making a glaze here. We're making a wash for glazing. And that's how we're going to add our shadows to glazing. I'll start with the shadow for this particular side, showing that this is the opposite side of the wall. So we will, oh, that's dark. That is dark. Didn't mean for it to be that dark. So let's blend that out a little. And we're staying just on this side. Now, if any point you feel you have too much paint, you can always just rub over it with a clean brush and then use a paper towel to lift that color. We're using sedimentary colors, ultramarine and burnt sienna, meaning that they will reactivate because of how the pigments are a little bit larger than some other colors, and they sort of sit on the surface of your paper, especially if it has a decent amount of sizing to it, making it easy to reactivate those colors and to lift them. So there's something to keep in mind. Now I want to add a little bit of a line to the front part of this frame here. So I'm going to grab my smaller brush, and you could use a liner brush for this if you wanted to. I'm just going to continue to use the brushes I have sitting here. And I want to just basically go down the side of that tape because we lined it directly up with the front part of our frame, right? Our door frame. So we're just going to go, and I'm using a light hand. This should be a really thin shadow, really thinly shadowed area anyway. It's just really showing, helping to push the door frame up, giving it dimension, taking it from a 2D image flat on your paper, giving it some dimension and roundness. So it seems like a real wall. It doesn't have to be anything dramatic. It's not a harsh line or a harsh shadow. You can even take you some water on the end of that brush if you want to and blend it inward a little bit. You can definitely blend that. There is no wrong way to do this. I wanted to make sure it was something super friendly. Now, you can also add tonage to the front. Just remember to keep it wet, but don't go too overboard because you don't want to like damage your paper or anything. But you could just in some different areas to, and then I'm gonna blend it out with water so that it doesn't seem harsh in any place. Same thing down this way, just like so. Add more water if you feel like you need to. If you feel like anything is getting too heavy or too dark, use your paper towel to blot. That even adds texture as well. There we go. I think I'm good with that side. I think I'm good with that side. Let's tackle the other side real quick. Let's see. I want shadow here. Well, let's start with the shadow inside the frame here. Because we need to give this some depth. This entire area needs a little bit more feeling to it. I'm gonna turn my book. I tell you all the time, turn your sketchbook, make it comfortable for yourself. There's no sense of painting and being uncomfortable. You're never gonna enjoy it. And I'm gonna blend it inward. And adding that water is also gonna allow me to be able to blend a little bit more color in here in the areas I feel that it needs. And I'm adding a little color at a time. Just a little at a time until I build it to where I want it to be. Because I do not want it to be too heavy. But I also want it to be enough color that you're able to see any of the. I'm just using water now to blend the rest of that out. And I pour some of that out. Keep it light. Okay, I like that. I like that. Let's do the bottom part. Same, same technique here. All right, I'm gonna turn it back this direction. It's just easier for me to tackle, especially with the angle that the door is going in. The door has kind of got a funny angle on it. I don't know if I intended to do that, but I did. It's not ugly looking. It's just funny. Okay, and then I'm gonna grab the paper towel and see if I can. There we go. We're almost done. We're almost done. We need to put the shadow on the front end of the door And we're going to be rocking and rolling here, friends. And you'll get to see that Superior paints are actually pretty decent paints. So the paints that are inside the little travel system, I'm good with, you know. I use them in several different variations, including, like I said, the kit I use for Watercolor Sunday Fun Days, which is just a Shapiro Farben set of watercolors. Um, this kit, I mean, that's white labeled by Superior. Those are Superior paints, the same company that's making the paints that's in this little travel kit. All right, and then I need to do just a little outline in here, and we'll really be done with this. I'm gonna call it quits, honestly, because I feel like it's nice how it is. Sometimes I don't know when to stop, and I feel like for the first time, I'm at a point where I feel like, okay, you really know when to end this. You know when not to add any more to it, because I really could. I'm telling you now, I can go in and add some color pencil to this in a heartbeat, but I'm not. I'm going to stop while I'm ahead and finish this up. A little light color on the outside of the door for when that tape is removed, which we are about to do. We're going to dry everything. We're going to remove our tape. I need to go edit the Watercolor Sunday Fun Day Live. I typically don't edit the lives inside the creation station, but the last couple of Watercolor Sunday Fun Day classes uh, have also been released as individual purchase classes under the shop section. So for those people that are not a members of the creation station but still may want to purchase a certain class, and those lives I do edit. Okay, think I think I'm good. I really do. I think I'm good. Okay. As I add more, okay. Now let's remove this. Let's dry everything. I want to make sure I don't pull anything when I remove it. All right. Let's sign our little painting. All right. And let's do our black border around our painting as we normally do. Now this is a Derwent. Those Derwent pens, I never have. I'm gonna be honest. I never had the best look with fine lining with those things. Now this is a Click Art watercolor marker, but I use it for fine lining at the end since I know I'm not gonna be putting any more water of any type on the product or on the illustration. but it is pretty thick, so you don't have to outline. I just feel like the black outline adds a much more appealing border, especially in contrast to the white border that the tape leaves. And it just kind of frames the picture and maybe make it look a little better. So let's remove some tape here and see what we have. And I'm just happy to have another page in this sketchbook completed. Almost done with it. And this is actually one of the newer sketchbooks that when I first got it, I was using the paper up really quick because it's a pretty decent thick cellulose paper. Um, it holds up pretty well to the different techniques that I use, but it is a cellulose paper, no doubt about it. It's really good for doing these little tests, field tests, swatching paints, and things to it. There we go. So there is our little illustration of peeping out of a door at a landscape in the back. Don't know where that idea came from, but I like it. Turned out pretty well. Turned out pretty well. And it's really simple and effective, you know? Really simple and effective. Okay, let's talk about this. Let's go ahead and just wrap this up, friends. Um, because I don't think it's not going to take like it normally does 2 or 3 paintings in order for me to offer an opinion. Again, because what I was really evaluating in this particular video is the system itself. The paints I'm familiar with, I already knew what to expect. So I'll just start there. I'll start with saying that the paints that come inside the palette are very decent paints. They're superior white labels. You're going to get a really nice student grade paint that's pretty transparent and clean. There's not a lot of fillers in the paint. Um, they will layer well. Let's just take a look here. You can see that other than the ultramarine swatch here, there was no issues with any of them. But you could see from painting it out that the ultramarine, I'm not sure, maybe it was just user error there, but or it was just being activated for the first time or something of that nature. But all of the colors are pretty clean. They don't goop. Uh, Mix really well. You get really clean secondaries. You have a split primary, so you're going to get a warm and a cool yellow, warm and a cool red. Well, sort of a warm and a cool blue. You're kind of getting two warm blues, but they work for mixing purposes. So the first mixing we did, which was also still testing opacity, was on the paper mixing test. And as you can see, you can still see each individual layer through the one painted or glazed on top, which means that they are transparent and they are going to work wonderfully for glazing. You're going to be able to build many layers on top of each other without the colors muddying or becoming cloudy. I didn't experience any type of white residue or white cloud on top of any of the paint pans. So you're not immediately getting a paint that's bombarded with white pigments like a PW6 or a PW4 in order to stretch the color. Now, it could be very possible that with superior paints, you have a dye imposed on a substrate as its delivery system, but I don't know that because I don't know that to be for sure because I don't work for Superior. But overall, my viewpoint of these paints is that Superior produces a really good student grade paint. They actually produce a really good master level professional paint, but we'll talk about that in a different video. So outside of the palette mixing and the paper mixing, I did swatch that blue out to see if it would be any granulation. There's not granulation in that ultramarine. I do believe that most of that texture is from the paper that I'm painting on here, which by the way is cellulose. So we did not do any testing on a 100% cotton paper, just in case that makes any difference to you. But as you can see, the colors held their vibrancy and their saturation without a huge shift from wet to dry, even on the cellulose paper, which is a really good thing. Um, Here I did a little test. I normally do a salt test. I can already tell you that these paints react wonderfully to salt. But here I was kind of doing an alcohol test, and I'm still working on getting this right. Now, there's an illustration that's done in this upcoming Wednesday's pre-recorded video where I used this same technique with a different color in the background. And it was a little bit more effective in that painting than it is in this little example. But basically, the alcohol pushes the pigment out of the way, causing a whitening, almost bokeh, sort of blurry effect in the paint. Um, Yet I have not yet to have it as, what's the word I'm looking for? Pronounced is like the bokeh spots you see in the background on some photographs you see online, but I'm working on kind of perfecting that technique. But it does work. I think maybe there's not, again, this is a student grade paint, so there are some fillers in it which may cause it not to react as well in a paint of this caliber as, say, like a professional paint. But there you have that. No qualms with the paints. If it's just about the paints, I say get the paint. I say get it. Here's a little illustration we did today. Pretty straightforward, pretty easy, very effective though, in letting you see how the paints can handle, control, and work with different techniques. It really just depends on your painting style. But I don't think that these paints would be bad for anybody, be it beginner, someone who's in their intermediate stage, or even an experienced painter that's looking for something to play around with their sketchbooks on the go, travel, their secondary backup set. Anything made by Superior is going to be a pretty good bet as far as the paints go. When it comes down to the actual travel system itself, honestly, I think this is a little wonky. I have to be honest. I think it's a little wonky. It may work a little bit better, as suggested earlier, if worn under the wrist. My issue is that I just don't feel like holding it to my body the way I have to in order for my particular arm to be comfortable with me removing the colors from the palette, steady putting pressure on top of the palette, especially trying to utilize this smaller mixing space. Then you also take into account that the pans themselves are really, really small. Now, it doesn't take much watercolor to go a long way. With that said, how many paintings can you really get? Maybe 2 dozen, 25, maybe 30 paintings. As long as you're painting small in a travel size sketchbook, some paintings of this size caliber, excuse me, maybe you're painting in like the size paint book sketchbook that we did the where is it? I keep losing stuff. Well, wherever the sketchbook is where we did the baseball painting last night, like seriously, I do not see it. I have no idea where it went. Oh, here it is. So like maybe a sketchbook this size, or maybe something smaller, maybe sketchbooks this size. As long as you're doing paintings and like little travel size sketchbooks of this caliber, you're probably going to get quite a few paintings done with this little kit before you need to change out one of the pans. It does come with the six refills, which is a great thing because that lets you know that they understood that, this is small. So they do give you six refills. So of the 12 colors, um, you have six of them that are double. And those are your primaries, which is good. Well, one of them, because that looks to be Okay, yeah, that's the crimson. So that's the more useful red. And you get both blues and a refill on the more yellowy green. It said on the package which one was being refilled. Let's see. It offers you refills for the lemon yellow, the cad red hue, so that is cad red, not vermilion. Cerulean blue hue, ultramarine blue viridian. So that green, it was a second green, right? Let's see. Yeah, so the green is viridian, ironically enough, which is more likely just phthalo green. Let's be honest. It's more likely PG7 versus a PG18. There's no way that's a true viridian because there's no granulation there. So my guess would be that it's a PG7 versus a PG18. And then cad yellow hue. So I don't know. $25, is that what we see it? 24.99. Um, for the novelty of it is cute. I'm not sure if 24.99 is worth it for what it is. Um, you could very well find smaller, you could find pallets this size that actually holds more pans, more like quarter pans or half pans. So you're going to be able to carry more paint at one time in the little pallets. I mean, for the novelty of it, this is super, super cute. I don't think it's going to be very practical because I do believe that every single time I go to open it, I'm going to have pans falling out, which means that I need to let all of the paint completely dry before I try to close it back up. And that may not be something that's feasible, especially if I'm like out and about doing plain air painting. I don't want to have to worry about, okay, well, if I close this up while it's still a little damp, then, the next time I open this, I may have a complete mess to clean before I can really get around to using it again. Let's just see. We're going to close it up. Those pans were still semi-wet. We'll give this a second. I think it's a very cute design and concept overall. I'm just not sure if it's $25 worth of design and concept, you know. And then, of course, for me, I have the damaged band, which is unfortunate. I'll probably just put a little bit of Fabri-Tac glue there, glue it back. Fabri-Tac fixes everything. I'll put a little Fabri-Tac glue there and glue it back together. It won't be a big deal. Probably will never notice it was there. Now let's just reopen this and see. Yeah, see, I have pans falling out, and that pan is semi-dry. But if it was still wet, then I would have colors. Let's just a dunk test. Let's see. Yep. So I have three pans that are pretty loose there. Um, So overall, guys, my final assessment of this, if I had to give this a star rating on a scale, a student grade scale of 1 to 5, just based on the system and the paints, then this would probably fall at about a 4. It made it to a 4 because of the fun factor. The truth of the matter is, it really should be at more of a 3.5. The paint carries the most weight because I know it is a good brand of paint. The overall concept and idea behind it, I believe, is cute. It just needs to be perfected. Um, Maybe a little bit more substantially made palette. I do like the fact that the watch wristbands themselves are plastic and soft. So it was actually comfortable, just awkward. So maybe a little bit more thought behind the process. But overall, I am going to take it out and about, do some plain air painting with it, then I'll probably update this video description to let you guys know how that overall plain airplaning thing went. Now, there are going to be ways that you can rectify some of the little issues. Like I said, I can glue the band back together. As far as the pans go falling out, as I told you guys when we were unboxing earlier in the live, you could probably use like a glue dot to hold that in. Um, Without a doubt, that would more than likely fix some issues. Here's my problem with that. My problem with that is that I'm not one of those people that when I'm reviewing a product, I'm going to tell you you need to do something to better a product that you've already spent your money on. At $25 for as little paint as you're already getting in this set, those are the type of things that should have been thought about beforehand. Now, I still say that um, Superior is a great brand of paint, but I'm not going to like every single thing that they produce. And this is not one of those items that I would readily recommend, um, just because I feel that it's not a completely realized concept. I think that it's a cute concept. I'm definitely going to use it. I'm probably going to refill it and use it. I mean, but is it something that I would say, hey, spend $25 on as your first travel system? Absolutely not. Especially when there are other travel systems out there that work amazingly, function amazingly. You're getting more paint. Depending on who you ask, it may be a better brand of paint in those travel systems, and it's going to run you about the same price or maybe a little bit less. So overall, I personally like this, but it wouldn't be something that would be my first recommendation for a travel system. And you guys know I'm going to always be honest with you, especially not for the $25 price tag. Um, you can get any of the Cotman travel systems for about that much, and they are pretty much well thought out and substantial. Some of them come with canteens and all types of little drawers and tricks that you pull out and mixing areas and mixing trays. For that matter, the Phoenix watercolor travel system, um, who I'm pretty sure has partnered with Cotman at this point because they're pretty much releasing the exact same products. And if I had to say, since Cotman Windsor and Newton has moved the production of their Cotman line to China, I'm pretty sure it's Phoenix where they moved it to. So all of those travel systems between the Phoenix and the Cotman lines are pretty straightforward and just offer you a better value, better bang for your buck. There is that little Cotman. Hold on. Just as an example, and this is not necessarily a comparison of the paints. This is a comparison of the actual functionality of the little travel palette. Like now, this is the Cotman. Oh, I forget what they call it, but this palette is about 25-30 bucks. It comes canteen style. You get a travel brush. You actually get a water canteen inside the travel system. The lid serves as a well for water when you're out on the go. You have two mixing pallets that are pretty substantially sized that fold out. And on the inside of the pallet, you can get, well, I've kind of put some extra ones in here, but if I'm not mistaken, it's 12. Is it 12 that come in it? It might be eight. Eight. I think eight come in it. Either way, um, if you get it under the Cotman line, it's only like $25-$30. It may have gone up, but it was only like $25-$30 at the time that I bought it. Now, what I've done is I've mixed it. I've pulled pans out. I have Winsor and Newton professional watercolor paint sticks in here, and along with a few Cotman colors to kind of augment this. But this, with what it comes and for what it is just so much more substantial, and I feel like it's a better buy on the money. Then there are little travels like this is De La Roni Aquafine. Now, I personally think Aquafine is a really great student grade paint. Some people look at it as professional, some people don't, depending on who you ask. That's not the point here. The point is you're going to get 12 full half pans, um, with a golden Teclon round travel size brush, in a really nice palette. that's compact, and this is under 20 bucks. Yeah, this is like between 10 and 15 bucks. Yeah, absolutely amazing quality paint and very reliable sort of little system, which I'm doing something wrong because it won't close now. Okay, there we go. And this one is almost the same. This is the Lucas Aquarelle Studio. Now, their professional brand is Lucas 1862. This is the Lucas Studio. This is their student grade palette, sort of similar to the Aquafine palette. But again, you're getting 12 half pans of paint in the Lucas Aquarelle Studio. Again, another great student grade line from a legacy brand of paint. You're going to get a similar number 4 rounds golden Teflon travel brush with a really nice mixing palette. And this is under 20 bucks as well. So I'm just saying, here is a swatch sheet for the Lucas so you can see how beautiful those colors are. They're a little opaque. They are a little on the opaque side. So if you're looking for a more transparent watercolor, then maybe the De La Roni or the Cotman, because Lucas is a little bit more opaque than either one of those. But nonetheless, all of these are really great, like travel palette options. And of course, you guys know I'm like a travel palette king, so I have many, many, many more that I could show you. But those are just a few that I grabbed that are going to be either in the same price range, maybe even a little cheaper depending on the day you shopping, whether you find a deal that I think will just be a little bit more reliable than this particular pattern. But when it comes down to just straight fun, I think a person will definitely have fun using this. So there you have it, my friends. Use that information to do whatever you will. Of course, I'm never trying to tell you what to do with your money. I'm just always trying to tell you my opinion from my painting perspective and options based on the hundreds of products I've had the chance to test and review. So there you have that. Hopefully, you found something in this entire live that was helpful or fun. Maybe you painted along. Don't forget that if you're here, if you've been here, sprinkle a little love. Give the video a thumbs up. If you're watching in replay and you liked anything, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up. You can drop any questions that you have for me about this particular travel set or superior watercolor paints in the comments. I will get back to answering them as soon as I possibly can. Um, if you had a question in the chat, I'll get to it in just a second because I'm going to read through that. Be sure that if you are new here or if you are returning and you haven't subscribed, to definitely subscribe, hit that notification bell. Make sure you have your notifications turned on so you'll know when we upload new pre recorded videos or when we go live or when there's a post made in the community section that may contain some information, some deals, some giveaways, some something that you may want to know about. The video description does not have it just yet, or maybe it does. Maybe it's already in the video description at this point. You can, I'm going to put some links for this travel palette so that you can source it if you would like to. There's going to be links for like all of the social sites. Be sure to follow the Thrifty Apprentice community on both Facebook as well as Instagram. We're on Threads. We're on Blue Sky. So wherever you do your media, wherever you social media at, definitely give the Thrifty Apprentice community a follow.